GM, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Super excited for you to be here. We've got a YouTube live in the that you can use. You can use the link above to go onto the YouTube live. Got some visuals there. Highly recommend you do so. But yeah, we're back, baby. Let's get this one going. We're going to be doing a $25 in ETH giveaway like usual for someone who retweets the space. So if you want to enter that now, by all means do so. Retweet this room, help us push the space out, and I greatly appreciate that. We've got some killer names today from a range of prices starting from, as low as 0.069 ETH, right the way up to some real premium names at 10 ETH. We've got a super panel of guests with us today. I'm going to run through the format in a minute. YouTube live above. Highly recommend you join. Take a look at the slides. There's some visuals there to go along with today's show. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again. Hopefully we don't have any issues with spaces or anything like that. But yeah, we're back and I'm feeling good. The ENS market's been a little bit quiet over the last couple of weeks. Volume's been down a little bit, but I've seen some promising sales this week. And, I'm the ENS Trading Post. We're RocketXLabs, and we're here today to bring you some of the best deals from a selection of names in the ENS space. There's going to be opportunities for everyone to get involved as well. We're going to have 2 Shill segments where you can request to come up on the stage and pitch your own names. We've got some entries early on in the day. We did a Shill post, so we're going to be reading some of those out. We've got a giveaway, $25 in ETH as well to someone who retweets the space. But yeah, just great to be back and here with an amazing panel. I'm going to throw it over to Zero first. How are you doing today, brother? How are you feeling this Sunday?
What's going on, post everyone in the space? First thing, thanks for hosting the space as usual. Our auction guy is Trading Post, but I'm excited to see what names and who's going to come up and show some names. So I'm in the market to buy a few names, and RocketX is also looking to buy some names. So if we find anything good, that I shall be picking it up as well.
Amazing to hear. And yeah, I think we've got a real quality auction list today. Some real good names on display, but there's a chance for everyone. You can come up and give us a banger name at a banging price. So the opportunity's there. ACV, how's your day going, brother?
Good evening, Post. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, glad to have you back, man. It's a good day. Logged in on the laptop, got my phone out. It's going to be a good one, man. I look forward to it. I see a lot of quality names. Going to be one over today. So I look forward to the Shills also, man. I know it's been a minute, so hopefully a lot of the community members can come up and pitch and put some word on some of their domains.
Yeah, 100%. We want to give people a chance to get exposure for their names too. The whole ethos of the Trading Post for a long time is to be to give people exposure that don't necessarily have a big following themselves or don't necessarily use Twitter enough. And, we want to try and help get eyes on the best deals, both Trading Post and RocketX. So if you've got a good deal today, by all means, come and speak to us, people. We don't buy it. We'd love to hear from you. Our 4th guest on the amazing panel today we've got is Enzo. Enzo, I heard you had a heavy night last night. having a little party. How are you doing today, mate?
Hey, GM, everyone. Good afternoon, actually. Doing well. Yeah, had fun celebrating my wife's birthday last night. Got in probably almost 2 o'clock in the morning, So for me at my age, man, that's not normal, right? Back in the day, I can go 3-4 days without sleep. But now my body requires a little bit more than that. So, but doing well. I recovered already. Hit the gym, sweated off. It's a rainy day here in Tampa, and I'm looking forward to today's auction. There's some really nice names. I was going over the list earlier today, the list that you set. Some of them, we've seen on our timelines in the past couple weeks. And if those that here that haven't been able to see them will get a chance so we can break them down and explain what each one means. The ENS space has picked up a little bit. There have been some fire sales this week. Bayer.eth sold for 4 ETH, Turkish.eth sold for 2 ETH, and a few other names. And there's some really high bids, so some quality 3-digit 999 clubs out there. And gas is down, so that helps, right? Gas is at 13 way right now, so things are picking up, man, and crypto has been pumping, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely, Enzo. I feel like it catches up with all of us, even myself, having a couple of beers, it definitely hits you harder as you get older. But great to have you here. Props to you for sweating it out in the gym today and being here for our show. I just want to say again, people, that make sure you get on the YouTube live. I've put quite a bit of time and effort into these slides, and I think they really help explain some of the names that we've got on offer today. So if you look up at the pin tweet above, also, if you scroll to the right, we've got an auction list of the names that are going to be on offer today. So the names on today's show are Quizzes, Department, Flex, Stepbrothers, Dr. Octopus, Wasteland, SFX, Dublin, Educator, Contraception, Leisure, Elderly, and Hummer. So we've got some real quality names there. And I'll tell you, people, some of there's one of the names on here that's buying out at 0.069 ETH. So don't think that this is only for Wales only. There's some great deals for everyone today. Make sure you retweet the space now to enter the giveaway. But yeah, I just want to say that we're going to have a slight change of format to the auctions. So everyone's aware, that ENS volume's been down a little bit recently. So in my mind, this doesn't perfectly suit having some auctions and having the ability to run the bids up. We don't have that luxury, to be able to run the bids up like we do in a bull market. So the way that it's going to work today is we've got a selection of names. Many of them have got a buy now price, but a lot of them as well also have a sort of listening to offers over. So for example, item number 1 is Quizzes. That's got a buy now of 0.15 ETH, but also the listening to offers over 0.1 ETH. So you can make an offer today on some of these names. The seller, it is at the seller's discretion whether or not they accept. So it's not going to run in the same way as before that, if you're the highest bidder, you necessarily get that name. What our job is today is to showcase these names, show what's on offer. And then if you're interested in a name, then please put that bid on chain, because, these sellers are looking to sell. And if you slow with your bids, if you think, oh, I like that name at 0.1, and someone else, and you leave it a day or two, someone else may make that bid today and take that name from you. So yeah, that's just a slight format change. But without further ado, I'd love to get this one going. So people, thank you very much for joining us today. We've got a great panel. Item number 1 that we've got on the auction list today is quizzes.eth. So the plural of quiz. This has a buy now price of 0.15 Ethereum, and it's listening to offers of over 0.1 ETH. So why do I like this name? First of all, well, firstly, I just think about the sheer number of quiz apps and trivia apps that are available on the App Store. There are so many sort of free to play with in-app purchases. These type of trivia games, they're incredibly popular. Not everyone is out there grinding and hustling and working all the time. There are some people who need to pass the time by playing games and doing trivia and different things of that nature. So I think this is a massive market. Apple App Store metrics are harder to get, but on the Google App Store, there's several with over 10 million downloads. And I got some statistics here. Sort of the total revenue for trivia games, the trivia game market, was projected to be 210 million in 2022, of which 80 million is advertising revenue, and the number of downloads was projected to reach 1.3 billion in 22. So there's a massive market. There are a massive number of people who download and play these apps and really enjoy just having the knowledge tested and doing quizzes and things like that. I also think that another angle for this name is that there's so many now paid online surveys or quizzes where people are able to users are able to complete these surveys almost for like market research, and they're able to earn sort of dollars from that. You complete 10 surveys, you get $50 or whatever it is. And I also think that this lends itself quite well to the gamification potentially with ENS of this name. Can you imagine whereby someone was able to buy quizzes and then they were able to offer subdomains when you have to sign up for their particular application? So I may be able to have post.quizzes.eth. And as I was to complete all these quizzes, everything would be done properly on the blockchain. And my ETH at the end of the month, per the amount of quizzes I would have completed, would be paid out straight to the wallet. So I think that that's another aspect as well. You've got these game quizzes for fun and for leisure, but you've also got these paid quizzes, surveys, market research too. And then finally, there's a lot, we live in an attention economy now. Everyone's fighting tooth and nail to capture your attention. And you see lots of these, basic clickbait type quizzes online, and these drive huge amounts of ad traffic. You'll see something like, which Harry Potter character are you most like, and things of this nature. And you might think, oh, well, you not spend your time doing them, but someone does. It's worth it for these ad companies that will plaster ads all over the wall surrounding these quizzes. So I think there's lots and lots of aspects of this name, but I'd love to get some thoughts from the panel. ACV, I'm going to pass it over to you first. What do you think of quizzes? What do you think of the price? Just any thoughts on this name, brother?
Man, it's kind of spot on with you. So singular and plural in some cases.
Test.
Singular makes the most sense, like in forenames, etc. Like surnames, having a last name or quizzes. In this case, I think the plural makes complete sense because, I don't see it being like a flex in terms of monetization on quiz. Like I don't see really the merit in just owning quiz, where you look at people that actually take these surveys and these quizzes online, and at the price point of less than $200, I'm pretty sure there's people out there that take these quizzes and make $200 a week. So I think in this case, the plural form is right. And I'm a fan of domains like this, in a sense where you could create like quiz apps, everything along the lines that you said. I actually like this name. I think it's priced fairly. Honestly, I know everything's been down in this bear market, but I think long term, from the monetization standpoint of holding this, it could be huge, and it would pay for itself 10 times over. It's just my thoughts from looking at this and doing some quick research on it. Yeah, but that's a huge thing, man, because I can tell you on my end, I've got some life changes coming up, and from looking at just means of income and stuff, that was one of the things I ran across on multiple accounts is like people taking surveys and quizzes. Like that's a whole almost industry of people doing that. So I like it. I don't think it's priced unfair by any means.
Yeah, great points there. I completely agree. You could definitely argue that the plural here is almost, could be seen as more valuable. Quiz in itself is a very strong name, and I think that it probably would get more in this market. But if you're looking to build an application of this type, then like we've said, I think that quizzes, the plural, would be more suited. So completely agree with what you're saying. And you go on ChatGPT and you sort of say ways to make money, and these online surveys are straight at the top. So I agree that it's becoming more and more of a standalone business all the time. Enzo, what are your thoughts on quizzes? The price, the name, any insights you'd like to add?
Yeah, I don't want to repeat the same thing you guys said, so I'll just add a few other things to this. All of us growing up, right, we had to take tests, exams, quizzes. That just helps determine the knowledge gap, right, whether the students are learning to advance their next level or not. So this is a very important word, and, a lot of people understand what it means. It can be used. I think it can be used as subdomains, right?
Test.
In the future, I'm pretty sure people will be taking exams or tests on the blockchain, and let's say you do math 101 quizzes, right, .eth, or science, whatever level science that is, quizzes. So this is something, someone can hold on to for a long term, and could have tremendous value. Another thing to take in consideration, this is also a pre-punk. I know some people really don't care about pre-punks. I like it because that's, it shows that this was minted in June of 2017, before the Ethereum punk collection came out. So if you look 5-10 years down the road, this could be very valuable, right? Because it's going to be a lot harder to get a pre-punk domain as the years go by. And this being plural and only being 0.05 above quizzes. No, quiz, the singular is 0.10 right now. So this one is only, couple dollars above that. So for 0.15, I think it's priced right for in this market. I think this can definitely go much higher a year or two from now, because somebody's going to come out and try to look for it, right? Someone in the education sector would probably want this. So I think it's a great domain, man.
Great points there. Really great. And yeah, I agree with you on the pre-punk, I think there was a time when people using it as sort of the main selling point. Oh, this name's pre-punk, so it must be worth X. But I completely agree that I think it definitely only adds weight to it, especially if it's a quality name like this. And, like you said, as we go further and further into the future with ENS, there's only going to be this certain batch of pre-punk names. So yeah, I do think that carries weight for sure. And thinking about it, there's not that many alternatives with this name. If you wanted to build something like we've discussed, or if you wanted to have a Web3 type quiz app, then maybe you could have surveys, maybe you could have quiz singular, but there really aren't that many great alternatives for this particular use case and application. So I think it's a really strong name, especially given the price point. So yeah, I would urge people to take a look at this one. All of today's listings are listed on ENS Vision. So, if you really like what you're hearing, then feel free to go over there and snap it up before anyone else does, because someone may just buy it straight away. But yeah, if you want to try and be cheeky and get it for a little bit cheaper, then put an offer on chain, and it's at the discretion of the seller. But I think it's a really strong starting name, and one that I really like. So that brings us to item number 2 of today's list. Item number 2 is a great name, and I've spoken on it once before. Is department.eth. So this seller is listing to offers over sort of the 1.75 ETH mark. And I just think this is a really strong name. Firstly, because there are so many departments worldwide. Globally, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, of different departments right across the US, right across the UK, across every single country. You've got Department of Health and Social Care, Department of Business and Trade, you've got Department of International Development, even to sort of a lower down, like university or organizational level. You've got like departments of physics, and within each organization, you've got more and more departments. So that's the first thing that stands out to me. This name is that there are so many departments, and like all ENS, only one department.eth. So I think that creates competition in the future. This one for me is kind of a prime example of subdomain potential. I really do think you could have sort of a media.department.eth, a science.department.eth, a sales.department.eth, education.department.eth, and I think that in the future these will hold value as themselves as just subdomains. I think someone will want to just own sort of a science department, and even from a level deeper, you could have like physics.oxford.department. You could I feel like this one, the subdomain tree can grow and grow and grow. So I think it has some sort of metaverse potential as well. We talk about digital locations, how many different companies, Bored Ape being a prime example, whether they succeed or not. We feel like at some point in the future, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, there is going to be some type of metaverse. And I think that these digital location names hold extra weight because of the fact that they are clear locations. Maybe place these wallets that will be assigned to these names. I feel like eventually you'll be able to visit department.eth, and so I am bullish on digital locations. And then a final point that I've got is that there's almost this coined term of department stores. These stores, a department store is renowned for selling high-end or luxury goods. So I think that only adds extra weight to it. In terms of similar sales, we have seen the abbreviation DEPT, DEPT, sell for 1 ETH in January of this year. So, that's a 4-letter ENS, higher carry cost. I would certainly rather own department than DEPT, which is the shortened abbreviation of it. And, you're looking at comparable prices there. So those are my thoughts on department. I think it's a very strong name, and people are trying to acquire grails in this bear market, and I think that this is a strong quality name that someone could own for a long time into the future. But I'm going to throw the mic over to ACV. Any thoughts on department, mate? Anything I've missed? What are your takes? Do you even like the name? First of all, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I actually like it. It has like high relatability to me. So like in my industry, automotive, just so to take on my day-to-day basis. So I'll bounce down to like similar cells, like the abbreviation DEPT. I haven't really in real world use case heard it and that, but to see that sold for 1 ETH and then to know that it's going to carry a higher registration cost yearly, I think the 1.75 spot on and fair. But like, so we have, and it's spelled out, sales department, detail department, finance department, service department, parts department. So yeah, and like, I'm sure everyone in this room can relate to this word, so everyone knows what it means. But I think this from like a subdomain use case or just owning that, there can only be one department. There's multiple. Like I turn my head and I see 5 departments in one day. You know what I mean? With my job, with work. So I think this is a good name. I think it's highly recognizable. I don't think it's priced bad by any means. When you have a 4-character abbreviation that's sold for 1 ETH, knowing it's going to carry a higher registration cost. So I like this word a lot.
Amazing points. Yeah, I completely agree. For sure. Enzo, anything else you'd like to add there?
Yeah, we touched on this domain before, and I think it's absolutely undervalued. A lot of people still don't really understand what you can do with department.eth, right? Just the United States alone, they have 15 federal departments. You have the Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, Department of Defense, Education, Energy, Human Health, Homeland Security, which I know the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas. I used to work with him a few years back. So all these departments, man, can be used, right? All it takes is one of these people to understand what ENS is and what it can do. And they'll probably want to go after it, right? Because there's so many different ways you can monetize department. And this can be a huge subdomain category as well. So there's a lot of use here, extremely undervalued, in my opinion, for the price. Because, we're just in that market right now where everything's slow. I asked someone yesterday if they knew ENS. Oh, no, I never heard of it. So, we all know we are early here. So you can think about the effects of a debate like this can have, a few years down the road. But for whoever grabs this, man, I would just hold on to it if I had it myself. But whoever purchases it, you're getting a really good deal here for a name like this that's easy to pronounce, and everybody pretty much understands what department means. But yeah, great name.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Enzo. I feel like this is the type of name where someone will come along and appreciate the subdomain type potential with this, and I think this is the type of name that'll just get vaulted, and someone will buy it off the market, and it'll just be gone off the market for years to come. And yeah, I think at 1.75 Ethereum, I think even in this market, for me, there's definitely value there. So real quality name. Like all the names today, if you like what you're hearing, feel free to put an offer on chain. But that was item number 2, and that was department.eth. So next we move on to item number 3, and this is the highest priced name of today's auction show, and in my mind, absolutely deservedly so. This is item number 3, and this is flex.eth. So flex.eth. This one has a buy now price of 10 Ethereum. But the seller's listening to offers over 8 Ethereum. So if you like what you're hearing, put an offer on there, and it's up to the seller. It's at the seller's discretion whether they accept or not. But why do I like this name? Why do we even talk about Flex and ENS? Why is that even important? So I've tried to sort of break it down in my mind a little bit, and I think firstly, I think it starts with real life flexes. So real life flexes have existed for a long time. Have you seen Mr. Smith's new Lamborghini parked on his drive? Oh, look at next door's new TV. It's almost been part of human nature for many years now that people want to show off that they are doing well. Or at least give that perception. Whether it's Instagram or whatever it is, everyone's trying to curate and show off and flex that look at the life that I'm living. And I think for me, this is absolutely no different in the digital world. Okay, this is absolutely no different. And I think furthermore, I think attention is moving digital. So what's the point of having a real life flex if no one sees it? Yeah, you might have a Lamborghini parked up, gathering dust in the garage, and yeah, it might cost you £250,000, and it's a great car. But if the purpose of you buying it is to flex it and not to drive, then how many people are really seeing it? In terms of a digital flex, by owning some of these digital flexes, these are going to be seen by thousands, if not millions, on a daily basis, depending on your Twitter and social following. You can flex in this digital way, and the reach of that flex is just so much greater. And, and I think it goes deeper than that as well. Like, I think it even goes to the point that digital flexes are important, not just sort of like at a superficial level, but, if you're nick.eth and you get a cold DM from alan.eth, versus getting a cold DM from Alan123.eth. If you can verify that, the person actually owns this ENS, whoever it is in a digital space, if they look at this name, they'll go, wow, they own Alan.eth, that first name. What a flex this is. I'll give them the time of day. I'll give them 5 minutes to see what they say. I've never heard of them before, but they own this ENS, which is a massive digital flex. So I think it is important from a networking and connections point of view. So I can only see this idea of ENS being a flex, growing in the future. And I think as the idea of ENS growing as a flex continues to grow in the future, I think more and more people will begin to appreciate it. And for me, flex.eth, when it boils down to it, is the true flex name. Like, we talk about flexes and all these different flexes, but this is flex.eth. So I think for me, as that grows, the value of flex.eth will only continue to rise. But yeah, obviously this one's got a higher price, but deservedly so in my mind. Great name, real quality. I'm going to throw the mic over to ACV to hear his thoughts on flex.eth.
Yeah, I love this one. So I'll say every luxury item people buy to flex or digital. So even in breaking it down to your favorite ENS category, let's just say, for instance, the digits. If you was into triple digits, you would want 000.eth. Why? To flex it. So everything boils down to a flex, and to be able to own that word just blows my mind. On this one, I'm surprised this one hasn't sold, to be honest with you, especially all the things that we buy, these digital identities, whether it's something rare in a category, everybody gets all of this because they want to flex, and to be able to actually own flex and only on flex.eth. I like this one a lot, man. I think especially as ENS continues to take off, this word is going to go up in value exponentially.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'd love to own the name myself. I think it's a name which will be a primary ENS of the person who buys it. So I think the person that buys this, their whole alias, their social identity will be flex.eth. I can't imagine this being one that just sits there and people don't want to show off. So great name. Enzo, any other thoughts on flex? What do you think of the price point? Do you think it's reasonable? Just what are your general thoughts on this one?
Man, I mean, how can you not love this name, right? It takes me back to my childhood. I wanted to get into bodybuilding when I was younger, so I started lifting weights at a young age, and Flex Wheeler was one of the greatest bodybuilders to never win a Mr. Olympia. This guy was a walk-around specimen, right? And just by having that name, you always see him in front of the bodybuilding magazines. As a kid, I always go buy the magazines, and it'll be just across the bodybuilding magazine, right? Flex, Flex Wheeler, and those guys get up on stage and they flex on each other, right? At the end of the competition, you hear Arnold Schwarzenegger, "Hey, go flex on him," and it's a show of superiority, right? Who's the biggest guy on the stage, and and you get to boast. Same way when you buy a nice car, you go flex your car. You go drive it by the beach, put the top down, right? I mean, you can go on and on about this name. It's truly a flex name. It's a grail, in my opinion. and it's priced reasonable for this market, and I can see this thing go for probably 100 ETH in a few years, right? Because somebody's going to come along and say, hey, I want flex.eth, right? I want champion.eth, and there's no telling what they'll pay for it if they have the money. So this is definitely a grail. The person who ends up buying it, man, you're holding on to something of extreme value, and you have that digital asset that has worth, and you can always sell it if you need to, because it's one of those names that it's universal and everyone understands it. And it's only 4 characters, really short, easy to remember. So yeah, I love this name, man.
Yeah, amazing points again. I completely agree. And like you were saying, it could go for 100 ETH in a couple of years' time. Like, to some people, money is no object, and I think for these real premium names, you're gonna get these really high price sort of bidding wars if ENS follows the trajectory that we all believe it will. So super premium name would be a quality name for anyone looking to get more ENS exposure to own. So. That was item number 3. That was flex.eth. I just want to remind everyone we're live on YouTube, so if you want to see some visuals, they really help explain the name. I'd recommend going on there. We've also got a $25 in ETH giveaway for someone who retweets the space. I'll be drawing that at the end of the show, so I'd appreciate if you're going to enter that, you get those entries in now and retweet the space now. And we've also got a Shill segment coming up in a couple of slides time, so get those pitches ready. Get some names that you're looking to pitch, and get those pitches ready for in a few minutes. So, without further ado, item number 4. This brings us to a cheaper name. This is at 0.09 Ethereum, so less than $200 buy it now price, and this is droctopus.eth. So droctopus.eth, buy now 0.09. Why do I like this one? Well, firstly, it's a well-known Spider-Man Marvel character. If people aren't aware, Dr. Octopus is one of the main sort of villains in the Spider-Man sort of franchise. He's quite a iconic character. Like, he's memorable with these sort of metal extra arms that sort of make him this octopus type mechanical octopus person. But yeah, I think this is a really solid fandom name. So we've seen fandom do really well over the last sort of I'd say 6 to 12 months in terms of the Pokemon club growing. Like, even now, the Pokemon Generation 1 ENS club has a 1.6 ETH floor for a 151 supply. And I think all of the Pokemon names, the Pokemon floor in general, 0.175. So these clubs are holding fairly well, even given the market. And I think that's because the value proposition for fandom ENS is pretty clear in my mind, in terms of, we talk about ENS being digital identity. People want to identify, they want an online identity. Like, the ENS trading post is my identity. Everything related to what I'm doing and the content I'm pushing out is surrounded the ENS trading post brand. And I think that having so some people are going to come in and they're going to want to own the first name. That's just how it's going to be. Some people will want to be the real name.eth, but I think a lot of people will want to remain anonymous or pseudo-anonymous. And I think fictional characters make an ideal pseudo-anonymous alias. There's a lot of prior culture around these names. There's a lot of personal meaning associated with these names. There are a lot of mega fans who really deeply care about some of these characters. And we've seen it with some of our favorites in the ENS space, like, Fry.eth, what he's done with Fry, and things like that. So I think that there's, a clear use for fandom names. And this is a really strong one in my mind, given the price point at 0.09 ETH. But I'm going to pass it over to Enzo. Would love to hear your thoughts on this one, whether you agree, the price point, the character. Shame we don't have Captain here, because I know he's in the Marvel stuff. But yeah, Enzo, would love to hear some thoughts from you.
Yeah, I got a few pointers here, man. My favorite superhero is Wolverine, but I grew up watching Spider-Man, and I think, like you said, there will be people that will come after these characters, right? They're gonna want it. Just quickly looking it up right now, actor by the name of Alfred Molina. He's the one that played Dr. Octopus. He's from here at neck of the woods there in London, England. And who knows, right? If this guy knew that this name was out there, for this low price, he might want it, right? So I did a quick search on Twitter to try to find him, because I'll DM him myself and I'll explain to him what ENS is, and hey, your name is available, man. I mean, just for him to save that name and pass it on to his kids or grandkids, keep it in the family, since he played a phenomenal character in Spider-Man as that villain, right? Dr. Octopus. So I think it's a nice name, man. I mean, it's not up there with Spider-Man, Wolverine, or Captain America, but for the price point, yeah, it's an absolute steal. And there is probably someone out there who's passionate about Spider-Man and collects, Spider-Man memorabilia and things like that. It might want it. It might want to have them both in the future, right? So I think it's a good name, solid name, and easy to remember too.
Completely agree, Enzo. It only takes 1, 2, 3 mega fans who all love Dr. Octopus to want to own this name. I think people will even want to just own it from a collectible point of view. I think some people want to just collect these characters just to own the name on the blockchain. But yeah, great points there. ACV, anything to add to Dr. Octopus, item number 4 of today's show?
No, I think y'all covered it, but I can say, it's funny you say this, like fandom. I was looking at the Pokemon floor last night. And God, it's crazy. Like, so people that, it was like 1 ETH, I think, above 1 ETH, people that are into this type of thing, I can tell you they diamond hand for the most part that I've seen. And like this character, I'm not too familiar with fandom. My mind went immediately to Captain America also when y'all said that, when I seen this name. But when you look at the price point, and we've all got movie character. I can tell you one movie character like I bid on, and I like ran up probably like really high just because I thought it was a super cool name. So this character is probably gonna be relatable to someone out there. And like Enzo said, the actual guy, but it's a 5 character carry cost. So I mean, I see it very low risk, very high reward in terms of this domain.
Yeah, completely. Great points. And who's to say in the future there won't be, a Marvel club which takes off the ground in the same way that we're seeing the Pokemon club with group chats and sort of a real core community. So this could be, viewed in sort of months and years to come as, a good entry point for a reasonable price. Like you said, the $5 carry cost only sort of adds to, this in terms of reducing the level of risk to the buyer. So I think it's a really quality name. I can see Queen ivy.email.eth with a hand up. How are you doing, Queen? I'd love to hear some thoughts.
Hey, yeah. So keep in mind, there's a lot of people that do cosplay too. So a good example for you guys is when I go to some of the Comic-Con things, I go as Poison Ivy. She's one of my favorite characters from that world, and I enjoy really dressing up like that. So there's a lot of people who do cosplay who would be really into these. And I think at that price point, that's a pretty good buy-in, honestly. I sold a couple of Pokemon-related ENS that weren't really Pokemon characters like Pokemaster and stuff, and they sold for a pretty good price point. So if you can buy in now at that, I say it's going to take off, because there's a lot of cosplayers that you might not even know about in the ENS community who would love to collect these fandom things. So this is actually a really good one, and I think that's a good price point for you guys to get in at too.
Amazing point, Queen. I absolutely love it on the cosplay. That's something that hadn't crossed my mind, and I completely agree. I think that someone will be spending probably $500 upwards on just the costume alone for going as Dr. Octopus. So when you're looking at that to be one of many Dr. Octopus at an event like a cosplay event in the future versus owning the name on the blockchain for less than $200, it really does seem like a daylight robbery steal. So yeah, I really like this one at that price point and really appreciate those insights, Queen. On a sort of fandom note, brings us to item number 5 of today's auction. And this is the cheapest name that we've got on offer today. In my mind, an absolutely iconic film. Some, really sort of well-known and beloved characters in this film. Absolutely hilarious. Will Ferrell is absolutely hilarious in this. And this is item number 5, stepbrothers.eth. So stepbrothers.eth. Buy now price of 0.069 ETH. So you can go and take it right now for about $150, just under. Also, feel free to put a cheeky bid on this one if you like it. I know that the seller would like to see this one sold. But I think that this is a real strong name, sort of on that fandom note. Everything we said about Dr. Octopus that just then, I think applies directly to Step Brothers. I think within its own sort of little niche, I think there will be super fans of this film. I think that it is iconic enough that even though the film was well over 10 years ago, it's really etched into the minds of a lot of people. So I think it's a great name. I think it's competitively priced. You've also got the fact that it appeals to potentially the Step Brothers market, sort of away from the film. Of maybe someone will want to come along and build a site which is aimed at gifts for brothers or step brothers or something along that nature. So you've got the whole movie aspect, the fandom aspect, but then also the plural of just the target market of Step Brothers in general. So this is ISO number 5, the cheapest one on today's show, and it's at a buy now price of 0.069 ETH. Enzo, thoughts on this one, Step Brothers? What do you think?
Yeah, iconic movie. We love it, right? Every time it's playing on TV, I'll sit there and watch it, stop what I'm doing, and then just laugh at the same stuff over and over. It's one of those movies like, Christmas Vacation or one of those. It's just, part of culture now, right? It becomes culture. I love the name. I love the movie. Like you said, it can go to a collector, or it can also go to someone that lives as a stepbrother, right? There's millions of people these days that, for whatever reason, the relationship didn't work, and now they're living with another family, and they're the son of one's step parent and by a former parent. So when I grew up, I had a stepbrother as well, so it's common, and it's something. I mean, for the price, about $130 there, 130 US dollars, 0.06. It's priced well, and I don't see no reason why it wouldn't sell. Right? It's clean. Now the plural, the singular version of it is probably already gone. Yep, it is, and that was sold a long time ago. So yeah, the plural is priced actually undervalued, I think. But whether it's for the movie or someone just wants it because of the name, it's niche. It's a nice domain, man. Yeah, there's really not much else I can say about it, but there's always a buyer out there for these types of names.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would agree with you as well that it could be seen as undervalued, this one. Like, if it was 0.1, we'd still be here, giving it the same pitch, because I think that even at sort of 0.1 price, it'd be very sort of fairly priced for this market, even being sort of a quieter market. So I think 0.069, I think the seller's being unbelievably fair with this one, and I'd like to see it get sold for them. So if you like it, people, buy it now on ENS Vision, $130, or put an offer on there, put an offer 0.05 or something along those lines. ACV, anything else to add to Step Brothers?
No, not just that people take that movie super serious. Listen, my sales manager used to communicate with a banker, so when we transmit deals, we do it electronically. And to tell you how serious I've seen people take Step Brothers movie, they communicated back and forth in Step Brothers quotes. So people take it serious. I think this is highly undervalued, to be honest with you. I know Enzo said like the Step Brothers, though, it's got the plural form and it's got the movie aspect. So yeah, I think from a collector standpoint or individual that just loves the movie, yeah, I'm surprised this is actually listed for sale right now.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like culturally this movie is really important. There are scenes and references that people just go back to time after time. There was even a crypto account that I used to follow that was Crypto Dale, and it was based all off Dale, the character from this film, and he's just recently changed his PFP. But it is very culturally important, and like we said, at that price, it's just an absolute steal. So that's item number 5 of today's listings. We've got 13 names total. If you're interested in seeing what's to come, if you see the pinned tweet and scroll over to the right, that'll show you the names that we're going to be discussing today. We've also got a community shill coming up very soon. I'm probably going to give the opportunity to about 5 people. So if you'd like to come up and pitch your name on the Twitter space, and it'll be recorded on YouTube, then feel free to do so. Get those pictures ready now, please. But this brings us to item number 6 of today's auction. And I'd love you to see the visuals on this one because I really like this image. But this is item number 6, and this is wasteland.eth. The buy now price for this one is a little bit higher. It's at 0.5 Ethereum. The seller would listen to offers over sort of a 0.4 ETH range. But yeah, so why do I like this one? So for me, this is sort of a real sort of digital location name. Like we said before, there are lots of projects building now. You got the Bored Ape Yacht Club building out the other side. You've got lots of different Web3 based companies that feel the direction that we're going in is this sort of virtual metaverse type world. And I think as that grows in the future, you're going to have all these different types of area and different land types and things like that. And I think that, ENS will be the underlying sort of IP, the intellectual property of these names. Like, there could be many metaverses, there could be many different wasteland type terrains, but I think, there's only going to be one wasteland.eth, which sort of defines that particular thing. So for me, it's a prime sort of digital location. It gives me sort of a futuristic cyberpunk kind of, encapsulates the Web3 sort of ethos feel. Wasteland feels futuristic. There's also, there's a film called Wasteland. There's a fairly popular Steam game called Wasteland. There's a book by T.S. Eliot called The Wasteland. So, it's a very sort of it's a very well-known term, and yeah, I really like this name. I think the price point's really strong. I can see Ivy with a hand up. Give us some thoughts, Ivy. What do you think of Wasteland?
Yeah, so just doing a quick typing into Google. If you go onto Google and type in Wasteland, you already brought up the video game aspect. Just local here in Buffalo, New York, there's what's called Wasteland Studio, and it's an art studio here in Buffalo, New York. It's actually a pretty big art studio, and I know we have a lot of artists in the space, obviously. So if you just do a quick Google search, the amount of Wasteland products, video games, movies, art studios, big things like that, I mean, there's tons of them. So I think the price point and what you can get out of using that domain is beautiful. So that's a great one.
Great insight there, Ivy. So many artists in this space, and if that studio exists, then maybe I should try and reach out to them directly on Twitter, because would love them to own their own name. But yeah, I agree. I think there's lots going for this. I think there are a lot of different aspects. A lot of potential buyers, and that only creates competition for this name in the future. ACV, what are your thoughts on Wasteland? What do you think of the price point? Do you even like the name?
Yeah, I like it. My mind went to actual like a digital landscape as soon as you said it, like something out of a video game reference or a location. But just putting that's two very popular singular words put together. So to like kind of bounce off that, I think this should sell, honestly, at that price point, especially taking offers of 0.4, but now 0.5. I'll just kind of touch on like 2-word domains. I personally hold a fat bag of those. I think they're going to do great long term, especially 2 words like this, land and waste. So that's just my opinion on 2 words. I know people have conflicting opinions on 2 words. I am personally a fan of them, especially waste and land. Could be location, futuristic, like gaming. Who knows? I mean, how many people play video games? Think of like Call of Duty. How many people, this freaking millions and millions, say they have a map called this? Think of how relatable that could be. And that's just one area. So, yeah, I think this is a good domain at a fair price.
Great points there. Yeah, completely agree. I think it's a very interesting name. I agree with you. What you said about the 2-word names as well. I do think that I think that they are sort of I think that there's not much price discovery on 2-word ENS right now. We are seeing that they are names that can be difficult to sell in this market. But I do agree, long term, there's no reason, I don't think, why 2-word ENS names can't sell for large amounts. Like you look at some of the top 10 highest selling .com sales of all time, and you'll see at least 3 2-word names in there. So, and for these, you're talking tens, hundreds of millions of dollars that those .com names were sold for. So, being $5 renewals, I think that there's great risk reward, and I'm bullish on 2-word ENS for sure. And this is one that particularly I really, really like. Enzo, what are your thoughts on Wasteland?
Well, you already know I love two-word domains, right? That's probably what I've been grabbing since I first discovered ENS. The reason for that is not everyone is going to land that $15-20 million sale on a domain, right? If you go on GoDaddy, there are hundreds and probably thousands of two-word domains that have sold between $10,000, $30,000, $40,000. And some have sold for millions, but the price discovery right now on ENS is pretty much people buying it for digital identity, digits, and their first name. So we haven't gotten into that two-word yet, it doesn't resolve on Google yet and all that. So I'm buying it for the future, right? If I paid $5 yesterday for a domain, I think it was online work, and I can hold that for a few years and get 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever it is, I'll do it. I'm not going to go for that lotto ticket every time. And a word like wasteland, right? It means barren, desolate, uninhabitable. It reminds me of that movie Mad Max by Mel Gibson, man. That's a classic. I grew up watching Mad Max, the fury, people just, going crazy in that movie. And then Charlize Theron made part 2. So that's what it brings me back to, Wasteland. So it's a great name. Someone can definitely build a lot with this right here in the future. And I think it can go for quite a bit of money. Given right now it's just 0.5, about $900. But if you're patient enough, it can definitely pay off. It can even be a project, right? Land project or something like that. So I like it, man. It's a good name.
Super points there, Enzo. Yeah, it gives me those Mad Max vibes for sure. Like you said, it could even be a project name. I think there are a lot going for this, and yeah, I think it's fair by the seller. I saw when I saw it at 0.5, I instantly thought, I liked it at that price straight away. So the seller is looking to potentially come down to 0.4. So put your offers on the chain, people. That's all I can say. If you are looking to buy ENS right now, you put an offer on there, and who knows what a seller may accept. Things are quiet, things are slower than they have been previously. So now can be a great opportunity to put an offer in there, and you never know, it may well be accepted. So even if something's slightly out of your price range, but you really want it, then look to put an offer on. Make sure you're being responsible and not DJing too hard. But yeah, definitely consider some of the names on auctions on our show today. This is the last name before we go to our community Shill. I've been talking for quite a long time. I'm looking, we're 50 minutes in. I've been really enjoying it. It's always great to hear from ACV and Enzo and Queen. Some great thoughts. But we'll keep it moving. We've got 13 items today. This is item number 7, and this is sfx.eth. So this one was actually the top deal from the deals of the day post that I did recently. It is a 3-letter, so there is a higher carry cost. But I think this is a really strong name. So what does SFX even mean? So FX, those two letters, the letter F and the letter X, they're known for representing effects. So FX being FX. So SFX can be special effects, and it's also really well known as sound effects. So you've got these two sort of industries of special effects and sound effects, which are quite commonly represented within those worlds as SFX. So I think that, I think it's got good, subdomain potential in those areas. You've got music.sfx. Sorry, I'm struggling to speak. Film, SFX, game, SFX. And there's a lot of these online tools, sound effects tools, which are available, where you can download samples which you can use. There are so many different types of video editing software and tools that have built-in special effects features. So with being special effects, it's related to the whole film, TV, music, content creation type areas. Furthermore, there's several companies which have SFX in their names. Even sort of going around locally over the last couple of days, I don't know whether it's just because I've seen this name, but I've seen several local companies to me that have, a name and then SFX at the end. Like it is kind of a really in trend thing to do with people within those special effects type markets and sound effects that they like this term SFX. And I do think that it's a strong name, a reasonable price here. Buy it now, 0.3 ETH. I really like it. A final point is that SFX is the name of a really well-known sci-fi and fantasy magazine. They claim to be the #1 sci-fi and fantasy magazine. So who knows? You may even buy this name for different purposes, for the special effects side of things. But then they may look to want to have sci-fi related content on their magazine in the Web3 world, and they may want to purchase this name from you. So this is item number 7. I think it's got a lot going for it. But would love to hear some thoughts from Enzo. What do you think of SFX, mate?
Sorry, I had a mic off there for a second. Yeah, I definitely like the 3-letter domains because it can represent so many things. The only problem we've had so far is the cost carry, right? It's extremely high. I mean, and that's the reason why a lot of people can't hold on to these names because, there's I think 17,000 of them out there, 3-letter domains, 17,576, and there's right now only 8,500 that are being held. The rest are probably haven't been registered or expired. But special effects is a good one, because it means something, right? And I was looking for the public traded company that it represents as well, and I can't find it right now. My internet is acting up, but there's a lot of public traded companies that have 3 letters as well. That's their ticker for the stock market. So this can mean a lot of things. But special effects is definitely one of them. And what is the price on it again? What?
Price is 0.3.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. Yeah, 0.30. Yeah, 0.30 is very reasonable.
Test.
So, I don't know a lot about it, but definitely it's easy to remember. It's short, right? My only thing with it is the cost carry for this. Trying to find the end buyer. It could take a while, right? So a lot of people kind of hesitant to buy a name like that where they have to pay that $640 a year to hold on to it. But it's reasonable. The price is reasonable, and if someone has a use for it and can build something with it, then the pricing is right. It's right on target. Man. That's all I got.
No, I think that's a very fair observation in my mind. You are correct that you've got to be wary of these carry costs. I know that there are many people who have fallen victim to having too many of these 3-letter, almost like liabilities in their portfolio. So it is definitely something to consider, without a doubt. So great feedback there, Enzo. I can see Queen's got a hand up. I'd love to hear some thoughts on this name, Queen.
Yeah, I want to give you guys a little bit of a different perspective here. So in the software business here, we have what's called shop floor execution.
Test.
That also SFX. And then you can also have things like self-extracting data compression, which we also use. It's used in more, you got television, film, theater, video games, amusement parks, simulator industries. All of these things use SFX. So there's tons and tons of industries and different types of businesses that use these terms. Like I said, in the software business, that's what we use for shop floor execution. So if you go deeper than just special effects, there's so many different things to use this for. So I think at the price point, like Enzo said, unfortunately, carry cost is a big thing people look at. But if you can look past that and find a real need for the SFX, I think that you're getting a pretty good steal here.
Yeah, great. I wasn't even aware of that, Queen. Great points. And only takes one buyer that's really interested in that particular niche. Like I don't even have to know anything about some of those niches that you just said. And a buyer may come along. Like you said, there are many different representations with the 3 letters. I feel like we've had some good balanced opinions here because like Enzo said, you got the high carry costs. But I do agree that there are a lot of potential buyers with these 3 letters for sure. Just before we're going to go on to our Shill, our community Shill. So I'd love for you to get a request in now. If you want to pitch your name, then now's your chance. Come up here and make a pitch. ACV, any final thoughts on SFX?
Yeah, no, man, I'm a fan of 3 characters. Obviously, I have one in my name. But so I can say the high carry cost. Once this market, sure enough, takes off, the ENS market, these 3 characters are going to melt faces. So like another angle from this, just the mix and match of these 3 characters is, so category on Vision forebears, there's 3 different surnames, XU, which has 31 million, and there's 2 others that accounts for 52 million people bearing the surname that ends in X. So think about the mix and matches of acronyms for names like first, initial, last, that there's so many options that you could go with these 3 characters that you sound effects, special effects, like Ivy said, like Enzo said. It's just, I honestly think it's carrying cost and liquidity at the moment, but I think in the future, 3 characters are going to melt faces when ENS sure enough takes off.
Yeah, completely. I think there'll be a point in time where, there's just enough buyers in the market that all these 3-letter ENS will be minted out regardless of, the meaning. And I think that from there, the price will only rise over time. But it's just this trade-off at the moment with this 3-letter carry cost. So yeah, completely agree on what's being said. So people, those were our first names on today's auction. So just as a reminder, we've had Quizzes at 0.15 buy it now price. We've had Department listening to offers over 1.75 Ethereum. Item number 3 was flex.eth. Great name, Grail, 10 ETH buy it now. Item number 4 was a very cheap entry into our fandom communities, droctopus.eth, buy it now price of 0.09. Item number 5 was stepbrothers.eth, starting off as a 0.06 ETH buy it now price, so less than $130. Stepbrothers.eth. Item number 6 was Wasteland with a buy now price of 0.5 ETH, and item number 7 was SFX. that one's a mouthful to say, but great name, and that one's at a 0.3 ETH offer, 0.3 ETH buy it now price. So yeah, really great insights from the team there. Now we're going to throw it over to the part of the show where we want to hear from you guys and girls. We want to hear about your ENS, what you're trying to sell, what you've got listed. And we've got an absolute legend who's the first person to join us on stage today. This is hummer.eth, an absolute pleasure. How are you doing today, brother? Would love to hear a pitch from you.
Hey guys, what's up? Good to see everyone here. I'm just going to have one quick pitch. It's just going to be one bundle of 2 domains. And it's going to be your.eth, so youre.eth and you''.eth. So I tried to cover all the bases of your, because, it exists and, with apostrophe and without. And I have the bundle listed for 0.09 ETH, so 0.09 ETH. And I'd love to hear any feedback from you guys. And thank you, as always, for hosting the space.
Thank you, Harney. Thank you. Yeah, it's. I'm just trying to think now. Truthfully, I don't have any apostrophe ENS names. It's an interesting character, I think, because you are right. The correct spelling of the name, has the apostrophe in it. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how those are received in the future. I think they could do well, with it being the correct spelling. But as far as I'm aware, it's almost like a character which doesn't exist in .com domains and a lot of other different types of domains. So that will be interesting. I think that they are worth more collectively. I like the fact that you've bought both of them and that you're trying to bundle them together. I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I think they're priced pretty fairly. 0.09, less than $200 for both of them. I think it's strong. Who do you sort of see as who could be the potential sort of owner of your, how do you see it sort of being used in the future? Do you think it's going to be a name for an individual user? Do you see something potentially being built? But I think the strong, mate, for sure.
Definitely someone that probably collects names or something, or words that are used a lot. I tried to just target something that's used in everyday language a lot. Shout out to I don't know if Enderman's here or Novex, but we talked a lot about apostrophes. We talked about weird, WE''RE, there, THY''RE. They're used a lot in when we talk day to day in communication. And I just figured having the apostrophe version and the base version of it would be more attractive towards a buyer. being able to, just have both. So, yeah, I figured I'd throw them both in a bundle. And yeah, definitely someone that just wants to collect names, someone that even, wants to flip it down the line. The your without the apostrophe, I actually never noticed, but it had an offer in the past 6 months ago of 0.2 ETH. So that just made me a little more adamant about being able to sell it in a bundle. Just, if someone was interested in it in the past.
Yeah, I think you make great points. I really do, and I think it's priced. I think it's priced correctly. I'm going to pass it over to some of the panel to back me up and give some extra insights. Would love to hear their thoughts on this one. Enzo, what are your thoughts on this bundle? Your with the apostrophe 0.09 ETH.
Yeah, honey, I'm looking at it right now in the wallet over there at ENS and on Vision. And it's interesting. I've never really paid attention to the apostrophe. I don't own any. I don't really understand that market yet. I think it's kind of early for it, in my opinion. I don't see too many people rocking it on their profile, right? Whenever I'm trying to do research and homework for myself, I always go on Twitter and start looking at people's pages to see what they're using for their domains, right? Like I use mine, Mr. 305, and some people just put a bunch of them under their handle. So that's what I look for, and I haven't seen much of this yet. So, I'm completely clueless for the price market on them. I mean, for the bundle, 0.09 seems reasonable. So I don't think you'll have a hard time selling. It's just I'm not the subject matter expert on this, and you're the one. So I'm definitely going to go and learn some more about it and see if I find anyone who uses it or who likes them. But I think there's definitely going to be a market for it in the future, just because it's so short, right? It's still 5 character, which is the lowest you can go, and only spend 5 a year. When I came into the space, that was my goal, right? I had a plan, and my plan was to never buy any 4 character or any 3 character, because I don't know how long I'm going to hold this, right? That's the reason why I haven't jumped on the 10K club or 3-letter, because I want to buy it and have a plan to sell it within the next few weeks or few months. If I have to hold it for 3 or 4 years and keep going down the hole on it, eventually when I sell it, I might not even break even. So, with that being said, man, they're sure, they're clean, and I'm sure someone will scoop it up. But good luck with it, man.
Thank you. That was exactly my same plan too. I only register stuff. If you look at my wallet, it's all 5+ characters, just because I like the low extension and registration fee also. And kind of like what you said too. I don't know how long I'm gonna be holding them for. So, all great points.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's interesting, with the apostrophe, and to see how that market develops in the future. Like Enzo said, I don't really have a great understanding of it right now, but I think it's important to be open-minded on these things with the new normalizations and new characters. It's easy to sort of overlook and say, I'm not going to get any apostrophes, or I'm not going to go down this route. But yeah, I think it's definitely got potential, and it'll be interesting to see how it develops over time. Any more people? I'd love to hear 1 or 2 more pitches before we get this show back on the road. We've got 6 more names coming your way very soon. Some very well priced ENS ranging for all budgets. But I'd love to hear 1 or 2 more shills. I'll just throw it over to ACV to see if he has any final thoughts on Howney's bundle. But would love to hear 1 or 2 more pitches.
Yeah, no, so I personally haven't messed with the apostrophes, but yeah, I get us the correct spelling. I think like a novelty or a collector or either a DGen, but then I'll look inside to myself and I impart both of those. So yeah, man, I'm not sure. I don't want to lie to you on apostrophes. I don't hold any. I don't have much knowledge. I know some people I've heard in the space have talked highly of apostrophes, but I personally don't hold any. So I would say I will recuse myself from that. I just don't want to give you any good or bad advice, but I would like to make a quick shill. I'll make it quick. One of our clients has got a 48-hour bundle of some domains, and I'm going to run through them right quick. Europeans at 2 ETH, cheetahs at 0.49 ETH, pads at 0.420 ETH, and World Series of Poker, we all know what that is, at 1.2 ETH, or the entire bundle 3.7 ETH. So I wanted to pitch that out there for the community if anyone's looking. This identity, animals, products and industries all bundled into one. So clients open to individual domains also. So if anyone's interested in a singular domain, please reach out to me via DM. I appreciate you, TV.
No, I appreciate you, Enzo. I really like those offers. World Series of Poker, very timely right now as well. Like, if people aren't aware, there's a tournament that takes place once a year, and that's happening right now. So I think very reasonable at that price. We'll have to see if we can, link some poker enthusiasts who are also in the Web3 world, because I'm sure that's a name that a keen poker player would like to own for sure. So seems very reasonable there. So people, finally, just on this community shield part, I noticed there was a few names today that people submitted. I'm going to read some more afterwards, but some that caught my eye. Got echelon, so upper echelon. A very cool name in my opinion. In my mind, I think it's slightly high here, but a very quality name. It's on sale for 5 ETH, but I think that's a really solid one. We've also got streetwear. So you think about how many different street brands there are on clothing lines and things of that nature. That's at 0.7 ETH. We've also got MSME. That's at 2 Ethereum. And we've also got Prawn at 2 Ethereum. So that was a couple of names that we had pitched on the Shill post today. We're going to keep the show on the road now. I am a little bit conscious of time, but we've got an absolute grail of a name coming next. So if anyone's just joined, we are on YouTube Live. We have got visuals there that really help add to what I'm saying. We've got images, bullet points, and I think it's a better experience than it just being all audio. Also at the end, I'm going to do a $25 in ETH giveaway to one person who retweets this space. So if you'd like to enter that, please do so now. But item number 8 of today's ENS Showcase is, I think this name speaks for itself a lot, and there's not that much explanation required. But item number 8 is dublin.eth. The seller is listening to offers over the sort of 5 ETH mark. So if anyone isn't aware, Dublin, that's the capital city of Ireland. So in my mind, I think that there's a clear use case for geographical names, and I think that the ideal end user eventually in an ideal world would be the countries or governments themselves. Like, I think if we could get those names in their hands, those are sort of the end buyer. But even for, say, sort of, a Dublin-based private firm that's interested in Web3, what a huge flex it is to own the capital city of your country and rep that in a Web3 setting. So I think that there's definitely, it doesn't have to be just selling direct to the company. I think that there is huge potential to sell to some of these companies who are, solely based and trade out of a particular area. I think that is a massive flex. And then even, further on the subdomain point of view, we talk about subdomains quite a lot, but I think that this is the type of name which would be ideal for subdomains. You could have, Dublin as the root, and then, if a government was to utilize and set up correctly, you could have multiple wallets for, say, transport.dublin.eth, or, all these different departments and organizations within that root name. And who knows, you can maybe mint like sort of important documents to that wallet and things of that nature. In terms of previous sales, we did see Spain.eth was sold for 16 ETH about 10 months ago. So that gives you sort of an idea on pricing. So for me, obviously 10 months ago was a different market, but I think Dublin at 5 ETH is a very solid buy. There's for a sort of a buyer who's a crypto trader coming in, or whoever it is, I think that this is a great name that one could potentially own. That it's not as it's less risky than different other ENS names that you could buy. It's a solid name. It's a capital city of a really well-known country. So I think it's a very, very reasonably priced at 5 Ethereum. But I'd love to hear your thoughts from the panel. So I'm going to throw it over to ACV first. Dublin, 5 ETH. What do you think, ACV?
Dublin's a flex. I mean, especially if you've got someone who lives there. I mean, to own, that's what I always see. Like, so for instance, I own Bama. It's just a flex. Like, I'm the only one in the state that can own that. You know what I mean? So from that standpoint, but I kind of see subdomain potential or like government use case for geography domains. So yeah, any of these geography domains, honestly, I think that's a fair price on this because like you see right here, Spain sold for 16 ETH 10 months ago. I think geography does well. I think it's going to be one of the top performing categories, in my honest opinion, because if you look at, it all comes down to with domains, similar to why I like plural domains in some cases, because you have a greater audience. And if you look at how many people live in, say, Dublin alone, there's that many people, and is there one that's going to be able to have the funds that adopts blockchain technology to afford this? So yeah, I think it's just a matter of time on these geography domains before they all sell and get diamond handed, personally.
Yeah, great points. I agree. I think that someone's going to come along and buy this, and 5 Ethereum is going to be nothing to them, and then it's just going to get vaulted away. There are tens of millions of people in Ireland, probably more. I should do the numbers right now, but there's multiple billionaires that are based in Ireland, like in the rest of the world. So there's definitely people with serious capital that 5 ETH might be nothing to them in the future. And I do think it is a huge flex for anyone who comes from that particular city. And I think that being a capital city only adds weight to the name. Enzo, would love to hear some of your thoughts on Dublin. What do you think of the 5 ETH price point? Is it a name that you like? Over to you.
Yes, absolutely. Doing my little homework here and looking down the UN capital cities, which is a category on Vision. That's where Dublin is listed. It's the only decent name below 10 ETH, right? We have Tripoli there at 2 ETH, which is decent, but it's not Dublin. And recently, Monaco sold for 31 ETH. Everyone knows what Monaco is. And Brussels sold for 12 ETH. So with that being said, man, it's pretty much extremely undervalued for a city with over 1 million people in population. It's located on the eastern coast of the island of Ireland, and it's the largest city as well. And I mean, some amazing fighters, right? UFC fighters come out of Ireland, and they rep Dublin. So yeah, extremely undervalued. I mean, you have the University College of Dublin, which is a pretty popular university. I mean, there's so much culture there, history, literature, so much going on around this name. I think it's extremely undervalued, and I don't think it's going to last long. Once the word gets passed around Twitter, somebody's going to pick it up, right? I mean, we saw Mr. Higgins pick up Brussels at 12, and he picked up Irish at 11. So, and to him, if he picked that up, it was undervalued in his opinion because he's a very smart investor. So I don't see it lasting that long. A great name.
Yeah, completely agree. It does feel like this has got Matt Higgins' name written all over it. But absolute quality. I'm glad you pulled up the ENS Vision category. I was struggling to find the exact category. I was on the shortened UN codes. But if you've taken a look down there and you've got Tripoli at 2 ETH, but like you said, we've seen Brussels be sold for 12, then it just seems like a great buy. And even if sort of the ENS market, maybe it doesn't pick up in the next month or two, maybe it is still stagnant, this just feels like a great name just to hold and diamond hand, over 5 characters. So it's literally $5 renewal. Someone could just buy this now, extend it for 20 years and just vault it. So real quality, people. We've got a range of names for a range of budgets in today's show. Put an offer on chain if you're liking what you hear. We said at the start, we've changed the format slightly, so the sellers aren't sort of inclined to accept any offer. It's at their discretion, but we do encourage offers being put on ENS Vision. Though these names are listed there, so by all means head over and take a look. But I think Dublin just screams absolute quality, and I think that it'd be a great name for someone to own. This brings us on to item number 9, which is one that's featured before, but I think it's a name with a lot of quality. I won't spend a crazy amount of time because I am conscious of the time, but this is item number 9, and this is educator.eth. So educator.eth. The seller is listening to offers over 0.75 ETH on this one, which I think is more than fair in my mind. Why do I like this? Well, we've said many times that ENS is digital identity, and so many people want to signal that you can learn from their content. They want to signal to you that they are providing value in terms of, information. Their content is deserved of your time. So I think that there are so many educators in all forms of social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere, in all types of different topic areas. There's not just ENS educators. I'd love to see someone come along and, rep rep educator as their, primary name, as their Twitter alias, and be, pushing out lots and lots of great ENS related content. But the fact of the matter is, there are educators in all walks of life. It could be a crypto educator, it could be a physics educator, it could be a finance educator that looks to pick up this name. So in my mind, it's ideal as a single user alias, and I think it says a lot. The name itself, educator.eth. I also think this has got a clear value proposition potentially for a business looking to create kind of a Web3 education based platform, tutorials, different educational material, whether they charge and gate that and use educator.eth or potentially subdomains to gate the access to their content. And yeah, I think this is just a real solid name. You've got the natural subs which come out of that, sort of crypto.educator.eth, finance.educator.eth. But yeah, I think it's a real solid name, and I think it's very reasonably priced at 0.75 ETH. ACV, educator, do you like it as much? What are your thoughts on it? And what do you think of the price point?
Yeah, I like all these like educator quizzes, like education type domains. And my mind goes to like crypto or blockchain related. You could literally create some kind of like blockchain education course with a domain like this. And I think with it being 5-character renewals, man, the longer I've been in the ENS, these 5 characters and beyond are so minimal risk for what they cost per year to renew. So I like it under 1 ETH. Yeah, I think there could be a high return off this, especially if you created something and built something off this domain.
Love it. Yeah, I completely agree. Enzo, what are your thoughts on Educator?
Yeah, we touched this one a while back, and I love Educator. As we spoke about it before, teachers, right? Any type of profession, professors and universities can use this. Instructors, administrators. I mean, there's so much around this name. I'm surprised it hasn't sold yet. Years from now, we'll be looking at Ethereum at 5, 6, 7,000, and think back, like, these domains are priced so low compared to what Ethereum is at right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, just being the educator.eth on Twitter alone, that's a huge flex. I think I said that last time as well. I mean, if I'm a teacher, if I'm a professor, if I'm over there just dropping threads every day, educational threads on Twitter, I want to be educator.eth, right? That's how I see it. I don't understand why it hasn't been picked up. Maybe, liquidity has been low, things have been slow, but I don't see this lasting much longer, man. It's an awesome name, in my opinion.
I agree. What a flex it is. I think, and it does what it says on the tin. It doesn't leave anything to the imagination. It says exactly what you do. It's clear what you do as a brand. You're an educator. That's what I love about it as well. It's just so direct and exactly, it is what it says. So great points there. I'm surprised it hasn't been picked up too, and I think it's very, very fairly priced right now. Queen, would love to hear an insight from you. I can see your hand up there. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, so in instances where so here's a good example. Teaching ENS classes, that was something I was doing for both adults and children at one point. I would have loved to rock that educator.eth on my Twitter, just like Enzo just said. That would be such a great flex name for a professor. My aunt, she's a teacher, and she just got into Web3, so she would have loved to rock that. So that's actually a very good domain for people who are here for the purpose of mass adoption and education, or for somebody who is teaching those classes like I was. I wish I would have known about that .eth or purchased that back when I was doing it, because that is a beautiful domain. I like that one a lot.
Me too. I really like it. I think it's a great one. Yeah, I'd love to rock it myself if I hadn't, done this with a trading post and built the brand. But I think it's an opportunity there for someone to, to come in that wants to start creating content. It's a great time right now to rebrand or you know, to go in a certain direction with ENS. Do it now while it's the bear market and really lay the foundations for the bull. So yeah, completely agree with what you said there, Queen. So this is item number 9. This is educator.eth. Head over to ENS Vision if you'd like to place a bid. Seller is listening to offers over 0.75 Ethereum. If you want to be cheeky, you know, put whatever you want on the chain. If you want to put 0.5 ETH, then who knows? It's at the seller's discretion whether they accept or not. But another real quality name in today's show. Item number 10. This is contraception.eth. The seller on this one is listening to offers, you know, over the sort of the 0.3 ETH region. I think that firstly, this is, you know, a key medical term. I was searching some statistics on the sort of the contraceptive market. I've got a little graph on the YouTube live here, and you know, you're talking sort of going towards $10 billion a year. Is what the US contraceptive market is valued at alone. So clearly a huge market. It's hard to see directly what the Web3 application would be, but I do think that these sort of medical terms will be, you know, desirable to be collected over time. One possible Web3 application which Captain discussed with me was, you know, it could even be sort of a decentralized way to pay for contraceptive care across the world. You know, if a government becomes intrusive or introduces certain policies, who knows, maybe someone will look to buy this and build out a site such that on contraception.eth, such that people can buy contraception in a decentralized way. But so I think this is a, you know, it's not easy to see the direct Web3 application straight away in my mind, but I do think that it's at a very sort of, you know, approachable price here of 0.35 ETH. So yeah, if that one's of interest to you, then definitely take a look. Ivy, I can see with your hand up there. Would love to hear a thought from you on contraception.eth.
So I really like this one, and I'm going to explain to you why. For a use case, for example, Planned Parenthood, which is such a huge company that helps women and children and people with low budget or low cost living get contraceptive, get you know, any kind of health care. It could be such a good use case for that. But you could build off of that. You could create a whole website that could link women and children, or even men, to a local organization that offers free contraceptive. That you know, just things like that. I really like this one. It's for that reason, because I'm a huge supporter of funding organizations like that. And I believe if we can get organizations like that on board, you could create such a huge website to link people who may not have the connection to those resources. So I actually really like this one, especially at the price point. I might have to look into that one myself, because I don't know why, but I'm just very drawn to that. I think that is a really good .eth. So kudos to them, because that's one of my favorites so far.
Amazing, Queen. I love the energies, and yeah, I can put you in touch with a seller for sure. Like this is one which I do think there is a bit of wiggle room. So you know, I can put you in contact with them and see what sort of the best price would be. But I love the energy you bring and the points you made about this name. Enzo, is there anything you'd like to add to contraception.eth item number 10?
Yeah, Ivy nailed it. You know, she pretty much mentioned everything that you can do with this. You know, at the end of the day, it's just medical term, right? Basically a barrier between the sperm and the egg. And another example is the morning after pill. But contraception is definitely something that some of these major companies, right? Those like Merck, Pfizer, and Abbott Labs, and all those, once they get into ENS, they're coming after names that they know they can make money off of and monetize. So right now we're early, because obviously it's going to take a while before those public traded companies come in here and start, you know, sweeping all these names. But this is probably one of the names that will be picked up by one of those major players like Merck and Pfizer. So it's a great name, and it's relatively cheap right there at 0.35. So I like it.
Yeah, I think you make great points, and you know, it's almost, in my mind, there's not a lot of great alternatives to this name. You know, if you are interested in this name or building something in this area, or if you're a medical company looking to pick up these terms, there's not really a lot of, you know, alternative language in my mind which sort of describes contraception. So yeah, you know, I completely agree with what you and Ivy have said. ACV, any final thoughts on contraception here?
No, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of medical domains, just like broad spectrum. But yeah, I think Avi and Enzo covered it. It's essentially two things I could see here was educational or actual product website. But I think it's priced fairly. And like you said, TP, these huge companies, medical companies with endless flows of cash. Eventually, one day they're gonna. I'm not saying it's gonna be the first or second category that comes into this field, but when they do, they're gonna be wanting all of these domains. And in terms of derivatives, the only derivative I can think of this domain is possibly like birth control. So it ain't something that someone can try to create 7 derivatives of, like the degens are try to create. So it's that or that, and medical term. I think contracept. I actually like that. Which then again, I'm a huge fan of medical domains.
Yeah, I love it. Great points. And for these massive, companies, 0.35 is absolutely nothing. It's absolute pennies to them. So, in a long enough time frame, then I think a speculator right now would reap the rewards from picking up a name of this type. So another really strong one. Just as a recap, I just want to quickly recap what we've had today. We've had quizzes, item number 1. With a buy now price of 0.15, listening to offers over 0.1. Lots of potential, how many quiz apps there are, paid quizzes, surveys, things of that nature. Item number 2 we had was department.eth, listening to offers over 1.75. I think this one's got great subdomain potential. Department stores is sort of a high-end luxury term as well. Item number 3, we all talk about ENS and digital flexes. This is flex.eth. What a name to own. A real flex within the Web3 world. Item number 4, I think this is a great entry point for someone interested in fandom. It's clear that people want to identify as these sort of pseudo aliases. This is Dr. Octopus at 0.09 ETH. Get yourself in the Marvel Club there. I think that's a really nice entry point. Item number 9 on another fandom sort of vein is stepbrothers.eth. Such an iconic film. So many, relatable quotes, gifs. Just so important to, culturally, I think, Step Brothers as a film. This is at 0.06 ETH buy now price on ENS Vision. Go over there, take a look. Item number 6 that we had for you was Wasteland, giving us those Mad Max futuristic sort of vibes. Could be a great digital location name. There's a film, there's a PC game named after this. So this is at a buy now price of 0.5 ETH, and that's wasteland.eth. Item number 7 is a 3-character. So we discussed, higher carry costs with a 3-character. But this is SFX, sort of the abbreviation for special effects or sound effects. The whole film, TV, music industry, content creation. Many companies have this SFX in their name. So I think this is a really strong one. Item number 8 we had was Dublin. What an absolute fantastic name to own. Matt Higgins, I think this has got his name written all over it, having Irish and having Brussels.eth. So if you do like this name, if you think there's value there with Dublin at 5 ETH, then I'd urge you to act fast, because I can't imagine this one staying around for too long. Item number 9, as discussed, was educator.eth, a great identity name. Queen made the great point. If you teach in ENS classes, things of that nature, then this just demonstrates what you're doing, and from the off. If you begin these courses and you are educator.eth running these courses, then that holds a lot of weight. Item number 10 we had was contraception. Queen made the great points, and it's absolute pennies to some of these big companies. 0.35 ETH, I think, over a long enough time frame, there's certainly value there. It's a market that's valued at approaching $10 billion in the US alone. This brings us to item number 11 now. So we've got 13 items today, people. I appreciate everyone being here today. I really do. We're about 90 minutes into the show, so I've been talking on for quite a while. We've got 3 items left. I want to remind you that we've got a giveaway, $25 in ETH to someone who retweets the space. So if you're interested, please do so now. But item number 11, a real quality name again in my mind. This is leisure or leisure.eth. I know that we say it's sort of a bit different in Britain versus the US, but this is leisure or leisure. And, I think this is a real premium and versatile name. So there are lots of different forms of leisure activities. Leisure being sort of anything that you do in your pastime. So this encompasses sports, it encompasses hobbies, spa treatments, things like this. These are all sort of pastime activities, leisure activities. For me, another real sort of strong point about this name is that, especially in the UK, there are a lot of sort of leisure centres or leisure clubs. And these sort of leisure clubs are usually regarded as kind of high-end type memberships, which people can join to have access to an array of sort of sports and spa-based activities, different treatments, things of that nature. In my mind, because of that, it holds this kind of high-class association, like leisure, being able to participate in leisure or leisure activities, feels kind of high class in nature. And I think that this is, I think the ideal end buyer for me is sort of, a private company who operates several of these clubs, a chain of these clubs that are looking to enter the Web3 space, whether it's to digitalize their current existing membership communities or form new ones. I think this is, it's a real flex name within that whole sporting spa treatment industry world. And I think that because it applies to so many different areas, because it is so versatile, I think that only, breeds competition down the line, and competition will only drive the price of this name higher. So this is at a buy now price of 3 ETH. I think that's very fair in my mind. I think it's very fair. The seller would listen to offers slightly below, but I wouldn't take much lower than that because I think 3 is bang on the money. But would love to hear some thoughts from the panel. I know ACV, you've worked with the seller a little bit on this one, but leisure.eth, what are your thoughts on this name, ACV?
Oh man, I like it. I mean, it's anything you spend your time on outside of your free time. So it could just like multiple industries. Someone that owns this domain can set it up for like resort, spa. There's so many categories that this domain could like trump down into. So I think it's a whole host of potential clients. I think the price is fair on it, and I think everyone in the room knows what the word means for the most part. So yeah, I like it. I could see this being some huge chain acquiring this word long term that has something in that category, whether it be like hotel, spa, anything along that nature.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same brainwave as you. That's who I see as the end buyer being for this, and I think that there are multiple of those potential end buyers, and yeah, it's a name that I wouldn't be surprised to see sell for 10 plus ETH. In sort of a more bull type market. So I really like this name. I think it's in a similar vein to Dublin, a real quality name. $5 renewal, you could extend it for 20 years and just leave it in a wallet. And I think that, you've got a good chance of being onto a winner. Enzo, would love to hear some thoughts on you. What are your thoughts on leisure, mate?
Oh man, I love this name. We touched on it before. When I think of leisure, I think of freedom, right? Freedom from the demand of work or duty. Sometimes I spent overseas. That's all we can think about. We can't wait to get done with this mission, right? Deployed for over a year, and all you think about is spending some time on the beach, eating some good food and enjoying yourself. So I went ahead and went on leisure.com, and it pretty much just monetized the whole website of leisure activities, things to do, last minute deals, flights, cruises, travel shops, world's best this, world's best that. So the way they did this, you can do the same thing with leisure.eth, right? Build a website and monetize it and do affiliated marketing. This is a name that pretty much just about everyone understands, whatever language they speak. They still do things like, sports, swimming, hiking, fitness, outdoor recreation, travel and exploration. I mean, there's so much behind this. This is one of those names that you can definitely capitalize on it. And if you know what you're doing and what you're building, you can pretty much do what this website did, leisure.com, and make money off of it. Passive income. That's how I look at it. So it's a great name, and it's priced undervalued, I think. So the amount what we can do with that, it's definitely undervalued at 3 ETH.
Yeah, love it. Great points. I agree. I was surprised when this one was 3 ETH. I thought that the seller would be, demanding a higher price for this one. So for sure, I think that obviously nothing's financial advice here, people. We're giving our opinions, that takes. Nothing's financial advice, but I do really like this name at that price point for sure. Queen, I can see you've got your hand up there. Would love some insights from you.
First, I want to say thank you for allowing me to come up at my leisure to speak. because I'm super busy. But locally, there's actually a Lace and Leisure, which is a lingerie shop local to me, a retirement home called Leisure for those who have retired 65 plus, which is also another awesome use case for that. And then there's an ice skating rink. So there's so many different use cases for this. And I think I enjoy this one a little bit more. I like the leisure one just because of the retirement home. I work with the elderly and memory care doing the aviary technicians servicing their things. So I'm used to seeing them in their leisure habitat. And I think the retirement home use case is so awesome. Like Enzo said, your freedom, your free time, when you get to actually have your downtime. So I think for a retirement home use case, oh my goodness, that's a steal. So I really like that one. That's a good one.
Great points, Queen. You give us a perfect sort of segue is the word, or I don't know, a perfect transition point with what you're talking about there. Because item number 12 today is elderly.eth. So item number 12, elderly.eth. This has a buy it now price of 1 Ethereum. So I think that's another name with great value. So elderly, it's a name defining a specific demographic. I was trying to search up some statistics on sort of, the elderly care market and things of that, things of that nature, trying to get an idea of how much is spent. And it's certainly way into the billions. I found Global Newswire. They projected that by 2028 to be over 1,000 billion USD spent in elderly care alone. So absolutely astronomical numbers. So one of the reasons why I really like this name is because for me, elderly, it's quite a positive and friendly spin on this particular market. In my mind, it's far superior than say old.eth or things like that. It is saying that these people are of age and heading into retirement and things like that. But elderly, I think, has a positive and friendly sort of nature. What could be the Web3 use case of this? Well, in my mind, I think that there's, eventually we are going to look to onboard people from this demographic into Web3, via education or tooling specific to the needs. But yes, elderly people may be less sort of tech savvy, but I think it's a huge potential market, and I'd be shocked if it remains untapped in future years. I think this could be, a super name for say someone who was to build a crypto wallet or service which was aimed at elderly users. It describes exactly who you're aiming your products or services towards. And yeah, I just think it's a great name, and I think it's got a lot going for it. But would love to hear some extra points on the panel on this one. I'm going to throw it over to Enzo first. Elderly, 1 Ethereum, buy it now price. What do you think?
Yeah, the first thing that came into mind is my grandmother, right? She's 92 years old, bless her heart. But then I started thinking, what else can elderly be used for? So I started doing some research, and I found elderly.com. It's a vintage music shop, musical instruments. It's a bunch of guys that look like they were probably part of a band at one time. And you can buy accessories, parts, guitars, gifts, apparels. And you can even schedule some classes, learn how to play instruments. So I didn't know elderly was used for that as well. So I learned something new today. So it definitely can, venture out into other things besides elderly community. But it's a clean name, one word. Eventually, like you said, we all going to age, right? Eventually, we'll be the elderly, still holding our ENS domains, holding our bags for decades. But I think, there are people being onboarded that are in their 50s and 60s. Like my mother is over 60, and she's very savvy with her, her iPhone and all the websites and everything, and with computers. So this definitely can be like a grail for someone, a mini grail. I see it. So it's a great name. The pricing, yeah, it's fair. Around 0.8 to 0.1, I think they'll go for. And it's also a pre-punk. I like pre-punks because, like I said, years down the road, we're going to have a hard time finding these pre-punks because whoever has them will probably not going to let them go for very cheap. So great name, though. Yeah. Maybe the owner can even reach out to elderly.com and pick it to them. Hey, you want to buy your Web3 identity? It's here. I don't know how much what revenue they're doing there on that website, but it looks like it's active. So that's another option as well.
Certainly. Great points there, Enzo. ACV, any other thoughts on Elderly? What do you think of the price point? How does it stack up against some of the other names today? Would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty much all been covered by everyone on the panel. But I'll say, like, Elderly, always look at every domain as how many the potential audience. And elderly community is huge, as we can all agree. So I think the price point's spot on. I think this is one that could have meaning to someone. Or, I mean, you could really go down the rabbit hole of use case on this domain of, like, assisted living, any types of elderly assisted businesses and being built out. And like Enzo said, the .com, I kind of went to that too. I went to and just looked at the .com sale, and yeah, sold for in the six figures. So I mean, any of this, especially, man, words like this, once ENS catches traction, I think it's going to be gone or bolted away.
Great points there. Yeah, I didn't even. I should have done that research. I didn't appreciate that it had over a six-figure sale in the past. So that gives you some sort of idea of stacking up the .com sales, six figures. You could own this today for less than 2,000 USD. So I think it's good value. I really like the name. There's been a lot of quality on today's show. So if I was spending a couple of Ethereum, it's difficult. Would I go for leisure? Would I try and put a cheeky 4 ETH bid on Dublin? I don't know. There's some really, really great ones. With that being said, we go to our final name of the day today, which is a name which was actually given away in the email giveaway. So I think this is another quality name. This is hummer.eth. Hummer.eth. It's got a buy it now price of 4.2 ETH, and it's listening to offers over 3. It's a incredibly popular brand of sort of US pickups. In my mind, it's globally iconic. But I'm going to throw it over to Enzo and ACB to give me some thoughts on this one first. I know you're sort of US based and you might have a better insight into this one, but I think as a brand of vehicle and car, and I think that when they could potentially come into the space, this one could certainly have value. So what are your thoughts on Hummer at this price? I'll throw it over to Enzo first.
Yeah, Hummer, first thing you think of, right? Vehicle brand. Hummer in the military, that's one of the first military vehicles we learn how to operate and, do maintenance on. Very popular. It's very popular. Also on the street, right? One of my neighbors here down the street has a Hummer. I think they're still manufactured by General Motors. It's a clean name. I think it has a flex name. Either someone who owns a Hummer and loves the Hummer, or someone that just wants to use it as a flex name because it's still, that $5 carry cost. So it's short. It's only 6 characters. So pricing, I'd say it's fairly high in this market condition, right? There are names out there that you can get around 3-4 ETH that might be better, but that's that varies based on opinion. But I think between 2 and 3 ETH, it's probably right there. Somebody definitely going to want this in the future, right? So many Hummers are being sold here in the U.S., and a lot of people just, like, let's say, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? He has a Hummer. He's had Hummers pretty much his whole career. He loves Hummers. So there's a lot of people in the market for this type of vehicle, and the name itself and just owning it, just having it as one of your wallets can be, extremely valuable for someone. But I think it's a great name, and one of the better ones on the show today too.
Great points, Enzo. I feel like it's only right to pass it over to ACV on this one. I know he works within the car world himself. So ACV, what do you think, Hummer? What are your thoughts?
Valuation-wise, I have to agree with Enzo in this market based on some like American brands if you categorize it by that. But I mean, I could say if you look at everything, I know I keep saying this like potential market relatability, but like you have the H1 Hummer, which is like military grade. So a lot of those were drove in the military, and so that could be relatable to someone. It could be a nickname. I could see Hummer being like a nickname, but you have like the H2 Hummer, the H3 Hummer, and right now currently launched in the US is the Hummer EV. So it's the first variant of the electric Hummer. So that just came out in recent months. So it's I think a price point Enzo was spot on. But in terms of the EV Hummer, this is a prime time for a name like this, unless you want to go back to like iconic Hummers, etc., or nicknames. But I like it as short, clean, low renewal cost. So yeah, and like GMC still makes the Hummer, so yeah, it's part of the car brand. So I like it, man.
Super points there, ACV. I've really genuinely appreciated having both of you and Queen on stage today. Really appreciate the insights that you brought. I couldn't do it without the full team behind me. So really appreciate those insights. We're coming to the end of the show now, people. We're coming to the end of the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've been back. We're going to do some. We're pushing the ENS. It is quiet out there, but we're out here. We're trying to do our thing. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. This is the last chance to enter the giveaway. So if I'm gonna do a Twitter picker right now. I've got Twitter picker loaded up. If you want to enter to win $25 in ETH, I'm gonna draw that in the next minute. So enter that now if you'd like to do so. I'm just gonna quickly revisit the names that we've had. So if you are interested in these names, a lot of them have got a buy it now price. A lot of them would listen to offers. Even if you wanted to say offer a trade of a name plus ETH, say you're really interested in leisure or leisure, say you're really interested and you maybe want to do 1.5 ETH plus 2 quality names or things like that. If you're interested in things like that, then my DMs are always open. We can always discuss things. There's always a bit of room for negotiation. But yeah, I just really appreciate everyone's time today. So as a reminder, we had item number 1, which was quizzes. Buy it now price 0.15. So many quiz apps, so many people love to spend their time on trivia and playing these different apps. We had over 1.3 billion downloads in 2022. There's so many now paid online surveys and quizzes where people can earn money by completing these quizzes. Maybe we can gamify that with ENS. Maybe someone could own quizzes.eth, offer subdomains to people. Users would complete quizzes and they would get paid out directly to the subdomain. So I think there is a clear use case for this one. And I think it's very fair, listening to offers over 0.1, it's like $200. And I agree with ACV's point that in this sort of scenario, I think that the plural, for these particular applications could almost offer, a similar sort of value to, quiz.eth is very desirable, but I really like the applications of quizzes.eth and where that could lead. Item number 2 was department. We saw Dept, DEPT was sold for 1 ETH in January, and this is at 1.75 ETH right now. So that gives you an idea. I do think this is a steal. It's a name that I really, really like. There are just so many departments globally, and I think this is a really strong name. Item number 3, I think we're going to see more and more digital flexes in the future. People are going to want to show off that they're doing well, like they have for all of human time. A digital flex, unlike a real life flex, is going to be seen by thousands, if not millions, of users on a daily basis. And I do genuinely think, like I said, that if you get a cold DM from someone that's like Alan.eth or iconic.eth or real quality names, then it holds more weight. And so this is a real flex name. This is flex.eth. This is the flex name, and this is available for 10 ETH today. Seller would listen to offers in sort of the 8 ETH region. If you're interested in this name, more than happy to discuss privately. Item number 4 is Dr. Octopus, spelled DR Octopus. Buy it now price 0.09 ETH. I think it's a solid fandom name, and I'd love to see someone build an alias around it and contribute into the Web3 ENS world. Item number 5, I think, is an absolute steal at 0.069 ETH. This is Step Brothers. So, iconic film as discussed, less than, talking $130 for this name. There's so many gifts, so much culture, so many references in this film. I think this is a steal. Item number 6, like we said, is Wasteland at 0.5 ETH buy it now price, or looking for offers at about the 0.4 ETH sort of mark. Item number 7 is 3 character, but I think it's a really, really strong one. I really like it. Special effects, SFX, sound effects, so many different types of industries this could apply to. A lot of the tools, a lot of the people that work in this sort of sphere are digitally based, and I think that that's another strength of this name. You know, it's not like you're trying to bring a whole traditional industry in. Like, I think that these people are tech savvy and will be interested in technologies like ENS. So this is SFX, and that's at a buy now price of 0.3 Ethereum. Item number 8 for you. I don't even need to speak on this name that much. It's dublin.eth. You know what it is. Capital city of Ireland, and this is in about the 5 ETH mark. You know, offers over 5 ETH. That's what the seller would listen to. And I think, you know, go on Vision, have a look at the similar sales of these geographical locations, and I think this is bang on the money. I think there's some real value there for sure. So take a look at that one. DM me if you are interested. Item number 9, educator.eth. Queen made some great points on that one. Excuse me. Would love to see someone rocking educator.eth on the timeline and providing content on ENS. Item number 10, key medical term. Absolute pennies to some of these big global medical companies is contraception at 0.35 ETH price point. Item number 11 was leisure or leisure. Such a versatile name, you know, has a real sort of high class association in my mind. I think there's a real sort of end buyer of some of these companies who are already operating in this sort of private leisure or leisure club space. Further, because it's membership related, I think that lends itself even more to the NFT crypto ENS world. You know, if memberships are well suited to subdomains, and I think that could be a clear Web3 application. Item number 12, as discussed, was elderly. Buy it now, price 1 Ethereum. You know, if you are building services and you're targeting at that sort of demographic, then what a great name to brand yourself and push out into the world. And item number 13, our last item today, was Hummer. Whew. I really appreciate everyone's time today. We've had some great names. I'm going to do the Twitter picker. ACV, what's been your favorite? What if you were going to buy one name today, what do you think is the best value for money? What's your favorite name from those listed in today's showcase?
I think price point, stepbrothers. I think if I was going to buy one and I had the ETH readily available, flex.
Fire. Enzo, what about you?
Oh man, so many great ones, man. Educator is my favorite. You know, if I had the ETH right now, you know, if my wife wouldn't kill me way more, if I buy any more ENS domains, she might. But yeah, educator, I love that because, you know, we're all pretty much educators, right? In the space, we're all learning and we're all trying to pass on the knowledge and helping each other grow. So anyone can be an educator.eth or the educator.eth. And I know a few people on Twitter, that's all they do is educate the public. So that's a great name. If it stays here, man, or they can listen any lower, I don't know. I might have to pull the trigger, but that's the one. That's my favorite right there for sure.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that one's a really great one. And, you know, it's been around for a little minute now. I'm surprised that it's still there. But it's, you know, a quality name. I completely agree. So we're going to do the giveaway draw right now. Drum roll, please. I don't have my soundboard connected, so I'm going to have to... Sorry, that was my poor attempt at a drum roll. The winner of today's $25 in ETH is Kodak.eth. Are they still in the space? I can't see them down here. What are the thoughts? I think I'm going to redraw. I want to give it to someone who's done the full stint. Let's go again. Let's go back. Let's redraw. Okay, we're redrawing. And the winner of $25 in ETH of today's show is Shabbat. Congratulations, Shabbat. $25 is coming your way. Thank you very much for the support.
Yeah, Shabbat with the win.
Actually won.
Redraw, no.
Going on. Shabbat, you're banned. Blacklist Shabbat from now on.
Congratulations, Shabbat. Really appreciate you staying with us for the whole way. Does Shabbat win a lot? Is that what we're saying? Is he very lucky? Is he like Guayman?
I'm not sure. Was the dude in from the beginning? I think he just popped in the last 2 minutes and he won.
He wins every everything. He's got a horseshoe up his behind, man, I swear.
Yeah, he's been here. Yep, Shabbat, hit up ENSTP and then we'll get that 25 over to you, Shabbat. By the way, Shabbat's putting his name Shabbat.eth up for sale for auction starting at 0.001.
Overpriced.
Deal, no.
No,
Congrats, Shabbat. Thanks for showing up again. And you won again.
yeah, congratulations, Shabbat. And, you know, just I want to shout out to everyone who's been here the full time, you know, Bruce, E-Vibe, ETH Lord down there, STP, Hedgehog, Jimmy supporting like always, Get Key, Ship of Fools been in here the whole way, Taya, I can see Lloyd down there, ETH ID, ETH Drug. You know, we really appreciate everyone turning up and supporting. You're helping to push ENS forward. It's, you know, you really are making the difference. You know, by turning up here, you're making the space, you're making the audience. If we only had 5 people in here, we probably wouldn't be looking to know, you know, to carry on in the same way. You know, we're trying to push the boundaries. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing for ENS, even though you're not necessarily speaking or you know, in these shows. It does mean a lot, and I do really appreciate it. So I just want to say thank you again to the panel, everyone that's shown up today. It's been a 2-hour-long session, but I hope you've learned something. There've been a lot of great domains. If you are interested in purchasing one, then, you know, hit up my DMs. I don't buy it. I'll speak to anyone in the DMs. So message me if you're interested, and we can work out some deals. But I just want to say have a fantastic Sunday, you know, and have a little rest, enjoy, and spend some time with your family. Huge thanks to ACV, Zero, Enzo, and Queen. And I'm going to play some music, and then we're going to call this one a day. So thank you.